So, Steve, what's your favorite TV show?
Oh, have you seen Teen Titans on Cartoon Network?
Yeah, I love that show.
I love that show. It is so awesome.
It is, but do you know what's also awesome?
What?
Avatar: The Last Airbender. What's that supposed to mean?
I've seen the show's commercials. It looks so dumb.
But dude, it's so awesome.
No, it's stupid.
You're stupid.
We'll see how stupid I am when I play Final Flame and do 600 damage to your life points.
Darn it.
Looks like that's my game.
Best 2 out of 3.
You're on, man. Hey Tyler, do you think we'll still be playing this game in about 8 years?
Maybe. I doubt it, though. We're probably going to grow up and become a lot more mature. So, did you watch it?
Uh-huh.
And?
Well, I suppose the best way I can put it is Avatar is now number 3 on my top 10 cartoon list.
Where are the 2 above it?
Animaniacs and Teen Titans.
Years later, and Teen Titans is still one of your favorite shows.
Hey man, it's a good show.
Well, I'm glad to see after all these years, man, you finally checked out Avatar.
Me too. You know, I can't believe how immature I was many years ago. I wouldn't even give the show a try.
Yeah, we were both pretty immature back then. But now, we're men.
Indeed we are. Now then, I sacrifice my face-down monster and dragon dwelling in the deep, and I summon Go Giga Gaga Gigo. What you gotta say to that, Tyler?
I say that you activated my trap card compulsory evacuation device. And with this, I send your Gaga monster back to your hand.
Friggin' jerk. I end my turn. Hey there guys, it's Steven and I'm here to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender. My personal history with the show is I didn't watch it when I was younger because the commercials kind of made it look stupid. I saw bits of it, I'm like, this just doesn't look like my kind of show. I also think it distinctly reminded me of anime, and that was a time where I hadn't quite warmed up to the idea of anime outside of stuff I was already interested in, like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! But I had people consistently telling me, dude, this is an awesome show, you should check it out. And I was always like, maybe someday, but I don't really feel like it. Years passed, my taste in entertainment changed a little bit, it evolved, it allowed me to appreciate certain things a lot more. And then, Doug Walker. I've been a fan of Doug Walker's for a few years now, and it was interesting to see that he was now taking on the project of reviewing all the episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender in order to prepare to review the M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Last Airbender. Conveniently, at this point in time, a particular friend of mine was insisting that I should watch the show because it is a very good show. And talking to other people, they agreed. They said, you should watch it. I think you'd really like it. So, I decided that the cheesy journey of watching it along with Doug Walker was something that potentially could be fun if I liked the show, so I gave it a try. Does this kind of make me a sheep? Maybe a lot. But you know what? I don't care, because it's a really good show, I'm glad I watched it, and it doesn't really matter how I was convinced to do it, because now I've finally done it. And now that I've watched the whole series, what do I think of the show? Well, I already told you it was awesome. How else would I be talking to you right now about seeing the series if I didn't like it enough to get to the end of the series? But being more specific, it was glorious. In today's day and age of entertainment, what's popular, the stuff that kind of makes me lose faith in humanity because it's popular, it's nice to see that there are things out there like Avatar: The Last Airbender that exist. This is the kind of show that's the polar opposite of the lose faith in humanity entertainment. This is the kind of show where there are so many things that are good about the show that you start to believe in humanity a little more. This was not an instantaneous reaction, I will give you that. It did take me a few episodes to really get sucked in, but once I got sucked in, I was there. And after finishing watching the last episode of the show, I probably gave a silent thank you without realizing it to the powers that be that Legend of Korra exists. Not just Book 1, which was supposed to be the initial mini-series that would be Korra, but then it got picked up. There are going to be 3 more books of it, I hear, and that is just unbelievably good news, because I gotta have more Avatar after watching those 3 seasons. This can't be the end. I've already ordered the graphic novels on Amazon. First off, everything in the show was planned very well. You watch some episodes, some concepts are introduced to you, some character, if you ever get confused about it, the beautiful thing about Avatar is don't ask questions, it'll come back and it will be explained. The creators of this show did a fantastic job of making sure everything came full circle. The show also had a really good balance of emotion in general. It had happy moments, it had funny moments, really good action moments, really good dramatic moments, really sad moments, and really tender moments between characters, and just really good character moments in general. One of the biggest compliments to the show is that it kept me guessing. Between seasons, it had so many twists and turns to the story, new characters, new shifts in the story, new directions for certain characters, great character development. This is one of those shows where my critically thinking brain couldn't keep up or predict what was going to go on most of the time. And it is really fun to watch a show like that. What's more, since it was so unpredictable and I was so invested in everything, my critically thinking brain came the closest it's been to just shutting off and enjoying everything. And even when my critical gears start turning a little bit on the subject of Avatar, they aren't turning very much because there's really not a whole lot about this show that I can criticize. And if something is so good that you can't even think of what to criticize about, that's a pretty sure sign of something good. Category number 2. This show had so many amazing characters. I guess I'll start with Aang. The fact that Aang was a kid made him a much more compelling and relatable character. Even though he had this great duty and destiny to the world, he was still trying to be an ordinary kid who wanted to have fun, and he managed to succeed quite a lot of the time. He also had his flaws, like his story arc of running away from his initial destiny as the Avatar, and then getting lost at sea and frozen in ice for 100 years, and all of the anger he had to lash out because Appa went missing in the desert episodes. It just made him very likable. Then you have Katara. She is probably one of the strongest female characters I've ever seen in anything. Ever since I saw The Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen has kind of been my go-to example when I think of a strong female character. Katara is number 1 for that list now. When it comes to her friends, she's kind, she's nurturing, she's supportive. But when it comes to the enemies, she will waterbend your ass. Then you have Sokka. I will say it right now, Sokka is my favorite character on the show. He is the most hilarious of them all. He's probably the flagship comedic character of the show. But in a few personal ways, I feel like I relate to Sokka the most, and I think that's why he's my favorite character. I know that all of his comedic relief will throw a giant contradiction into this part, but Sokka, especially near the beginning, kind of had his feet on the ground, had his priorities straight, and despite all his wacky comedic relief, he had certain views on things. Like, in some of the episodes where people would be putting faith in some unknown or mysterious, otherwise questionable source, Sokka would be trying to be the voice of reason, trying to get everyone to come back down to earth. And that's sometimes how I feel when I'm talking to some of my friends. They're just being crazy and I'm trying to get them to just take a chill pill. It is an unbelievable coincidence that watching the show, I see certain things happening and I sort of have these thoughts going through my head about them, and then Sokka comes in and he voices those thoughts on screen. It's too perfect. There are times where people like to fantasize about putting themselves in the reality of their favorite show. You don't need me in Avatar. Sokka is doing my job just fine. Then you have the 4th member of Team Avatar, Toph. First of all, making her a blind earthbender who can see the world with earthbending, that was an unbelievably clever idea. This serves 2 purposes. 1, it turns an initial weakness, blindness, into an incredible amount of strength. The second purpose it serves is that it lends itself to so many wonderful blind jokes. At first you start thinking, oh, you're making jokes about a blind girl, you should feel terrible about yourself. Toph makes them about herself. It's unbelievably hilarious when she does that. Another aspect of her character is how much herself she's willing to be. You see her like picking her nose or getting up in the morning with a giant bush of hair. She doesn't care. She's blind, so she doesn't have to worry about appearance. She doesn't really care that much what other people think of her. I think that's fantastic. Next up we got one of our villains, Prince Zuko. First off, did you know Dante Bosco, Rufio from Hook, played this guy? That was a pretty interesting fact to find out. Second off, this guy is such an interesting villain. another great thing this show does is it makes its villains so interesting to watch, and it doesn't matter whose story arc you're following, they're both interesting, and Zuko's is a very, very good example of this. His backstory is fantastic, makes him a great villain, and it even goes so far as to make him not seem like an entirely bad guy. Next you have Uncle Iroh. What a smart, witty, hilarious, and awesome eccentric old man character. In the early days of watching the show, Iroh was my favorite, hands down. And as an all-around character, I have to say he's the best of the show. My favorite still lies with Sokka, of course. Iroh is awesome. And during this show, I had a couple of teary-eyed moments, I will admit. Iroh was the main cause of that. That guy knows how to tug at my heartstrings. And then you have Azula. This is the character, by God, out of any fully human character in a show, this is probably the character who has the least humanity out of anybody in such a profound and sick, twisted way. She is sadistic, she's maniacal, she's insane, she's obsessive. Even when she is trying to relax. In the episode The Beach, she treats even casual activities like picking up guys and playing volleyball with the same crazy intensity that she would her regular work. I also like the personalities of her posse, Mei and Ty Lee. Mei is the cold, emotionless one who is just bored of life in general and is so cynical about everything. Love it. And Ty Lee is the super happy, giggly person who does not belong in a group of people like this, but she's still there and she's still great. I guess now I'll relay a couple of my favorite episodes of the series. I really like Nightmares and Daydreams, just because of how insane that episode got. It was the one that took place in the days leading up to the invasion of the Fire Nation, and how paranoid he gets about everything. It causes him to have nightmares and daydreams, hence the title, and everything just goes out of whack. First he has a dream where he's not wearing pants when he goes to confront the Fire Lord. Then he has a dream where he chains his pants to him to make sure he doesn't forget them for the bow, but then he forgot his math test. Who needs a math test when you're fighting the Fire Lord? Come on! It was just out of nowhere. It was nuts. And then he wakes up, makes the cheesiest of confessions to Katara, and then that turns out to be a daydream. And then Appa and Momo talk, and then they start samurai sword fighting each other, and then Aang has dreams where he's like, Toph, we died because of your tiny bladder. Sokka, we died because you didn't climb fast enough. Just everything about that episode got crazy. And it was awesome. Another one of my favorites was The Desert, mostly because of the cactus juice. Those were some of Sokka's most awesome and quotable funny moments in the show. I like the episode Appa's Lost Days because it really gives you a chance to think, wow, over the course of watching this show, I have become attached to that flying bison. It's amazing. Not to mention very sad. The whole time you're just like, oh, poor Appa. Why does the world have to be so cruel to you? Other episodes I like, just in general, certain story arcs that have to come up. I really like it when it focuses on Zuko and Iroh when they've technically been fully banished from the Fire Nation and now they're out on the land trying to hide out, create a new life for themselves. It shows the more casual side to both of those characters, not to mention leaves room for a lot more of Iroh's eccentricity. So in conclusion for Avatar The Last Airbender, like I said, it is now number 3 on my top 10 cartoon list. It's a wonderful show and I'm really glad I watched it. Can't wait to get the graphic novels I ordered on Amazon and read more about their characters' wacky adventures, or maybe their serious adventures, I don't know. I'm glad there's more, and I can't wait. So, in full conclusion, I will probably watch the M. Night Shyamalan Last Airbender movie in the near future, and in the further future, review it for myself. And I know a lot of people have already expressed major hatred for it, but you know what? Just like the Star Wars prequels, I think everybody deserves a shot to take at them. Well guys, that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening to me ramble about one of my new favorite shows, and I will see you next time.